Fiscal policy is back, or should I say it's still back. The pandemic unleashed fiscal policy as a much more active arm of economic policy. That unbridling occurred globally, and equally global is governments continuing with their much more front-footed fiscal policy approach. That's the first key takeaway of this budget. The budget remains very important at a macroeconomic level as much as it has always been important at an individual level. Beyond 2020's pandemic-related exceptionalism, budget payments as a share of GDP are expected to be higher over every year of the forward estimates than at any time since the mid-1980s. By 2033-34, receipts as a share of GDP are projected to be the highest since at least 1978. The inflation challenge can be seen clearly in the budget. The $14.6 billion in household support is the largest single package of spending. In a $2 trillion economy, this won't make the inflation challenge materially worse, but equally, the budget is $126 billion better off since October from stronger revenue, with lower interest payments also helping, and only a modest portion of that is being spent. The Reserve Bank of Australia, in our view, still has a task in front of it to get inflation back to the 2 to 3% target. Many will talk about ageing, caring and defence as among the main medium-term fiscal pressures. In a narrow sense, I think they're right. The over 80s population rose quite reliably by around 25,000 people a year over the past 2 decades. Within 4 years, that increase will be around 65,000 people a year. The budget continues the previous practice of separately identifying climate-related expenditure. The October budget set the benchmark with $24.9 billion in expenditure, with this budget only adding $4.6 billion. While the government has also signalled its intention to issue green bonds over the next 12 months, the countdown clock to 2030 is ticking. Also missing from the list of medium-term fiscal challenges is China. Adjusting to a much slower growing China and more challenging global trade and investment landscape will require flexibility. It will require an economy that is productive and can pivot. In a service-driven economy, the productivity challenges are particularly complex. This budget does have some focus on the tech and digital transformation agendas. Beyond that, though, the first and in many ways unwritten rule of macroeconomic performance is use what you have most effectively. In an economy, that implies that our most capable can be fully functioning members of the workforce, regardless of their family circumstances. The childcare subsidy program and increased financial support for single parents are additional steps in this direction, and the budget also continues the recent trend of women's budget statements. In fact, in March, women's participation, employment, share of hours worked and share of full-time jobs all hit records. Inflation, ageing, defence, caring, climate change, China and productivity. Keep the second Tuesday in May highlighted in your diary. It's not getting dull anytime soon.